Hello, avid readers, book nerds, and casual observers. Welcome to the Read Along, brought to you by the Lit Roundtable. I'm Anna.
And I'm Joseph, and today we are talking about Hall of Smoke by H.M. Long.
All right, we're in part 8.
Hall of Smoke.
Hall of Smoke part 8. We're almost done. There's just one more week of this book.
One more. 1 week more. I may have cheated and read ahead for like half of the next chapter.
Well, I can't really blame you because I finished the last read along book ahead. So
you did. Well, it's not my fault. The section ended on a big fat cliffhanger.
Like always.
So
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think we're at the stage now where like I could barrel through the rest of it just because it's at the climax.
Yeah.
Things are happening. I want to know what happens to all these crazy people.
Oh,
so,
my goodness. True
anyway.
Story. Well, since we're almost done with this read along, which was an excellent choice, so thank you for suggesting it and letting our patrons vote for it. We have a new list of potential read along books. So, again, reminder, if you would like voting rights for our read along, you can become a patron of our Patreon. The first tier gets you access to voting, so you're more than welcome to participate in that. Our list for this time, I've cut it down to just 3 books instead of 4, and I've decided that we are going on a sequel journey this time.
Ooh, sequels.
Yes, because we've read a lot of first books in series. So here are your options if you become a patron. We've got Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch.
Which is the sequel to
Eliza Block Lamora.
There you go.
And then our next one is Dragons of Winter Night by Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman. Which is the sequel
Back
to
into D&D.
Yes. What's it?
Dragons of Autumn Twilight.
Thank you. And then our third option is Temple of No God by H.M. Long, which is the sequel to the book we're currently reading, Hall of Smoke. So, I know. Those are your 3 options that you can vote for on our Patreon. So, without further ado.
Into the content.
We go.
Yay.
Yeah, we are in the thick of it here.
Yeah, it's climax time.
Mm-hmm. All the things that we've been running towards are finally coming to fruition. Or not? Question mark?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a roller coaster, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
So, we've got Hessa hanging out with Omaskat. She gets to finally just grill him.
And he answers all her questions.
Yeah. Finally have some answers.
Yeah.
But it's just, this whole thing is such a mess. This whole situation, it's so complicated.
It really is.
Not in like a bad writing way.
No.
I don't mean that in like it's contrived way. I mean like the, whoa, Hessa, you really got into it.
Poor girl.
So we learned that Omaskat knew that Albor was going to be destroyed when he visited it.
Yeah.
Because fate is a thing in this universe, and it can't really be undone once it's set. And he knew it was going to happen.
Which, okay, does that mean that he also knew it was going to happen in chapter 42?
I want to say yes. I feel like he probably knew what was going to happen there. I feel like this whole thing is one big Hail Mary. It feels kind of like in Avengers Infinity War when Doctor Strange is like, or in Endgame when he like holds the finger up to Tony to like show him like this is the one thing, like this is the one sequence of events that made it work out okay. I feel like Omaskat is Doctor Strange in this, and he knows that this is the way it's supposed to go and that this will make it okay. At least I hope so.
Yeah, I think you're right. I am still very sad that Aang forcefully took over Hessa's body and
murked him.
and forced her to murder him.
Rude.
And we don't know if he finished the ritual or not.
But Vistik is missing.
Vistik is missing, and Hessa didn't look that hard for him. She was a little overwhelmed by everything that was happening, and there's a lot of blood in the water. I'm not, dismissing her or saying she didn't do everything she could. There's a lot happening. Like being forcefully overtaken by your goddess is kind of a lot.
Possessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Omaskat also explains that he's not a vestige or a priest himself, but he's part of the Miri, right? No.
The Miri are people like Ing,
Right.
the lesser gods that were around at the same time as the old gods, but then like chained up the old gods.
Right. So Aang is not a true god. But then what is Omaskat? I read this a couple days ago, and now I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm also shaky on what exactly Omaskat is, to be honest. But I have chapter 37 bookmarked.
But the Miri, so the gods, the old and the new, so like Aang and Olden and even Lathian were meant to be governors of like the world, and they became very quickly corrupted into what they are now.
So they're trying to free Tevinder, who is bound beneath the lake.
And he's one of the true gods.
Yes.
That Omaskat follows.
And they call him the God Slayer.
They call Omaskat the God Slayer, right?
No, I think that's Tevinder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then they talk about how Vistik is a true vestige. Mm-hmm. How like he's a vestige, or what a vestige was intended to be, a piece of Tevinder's life, transmuted into a human soul. Once he's returned to the lake, my God can rise. 1,000 lives of men and women. That soul has lived on this earth, watching and waiting, dying and being reborn, waiting for me to fetch them at the proper time. So, I think, judging by that paragraph, I feel like mission accomplished. even if they just like football through Vistik into the lake, I feel like mission may have been accomplished.
Yeah.
Let's see. Vistik will not be harmed, he says. Because Hessa asks him if he's a vestige.
But I know he says he's not. Because that's like one of my first notes.
But I feel like he has been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. This is what Omaskat is. You ready? Mm-hmm. The other way the Vinder retained power was through me. I am the watchman.
Oh.
I observe and do what I can to influence the pattern of the world and understand the tapestry fate weaves. I watched Ing and her generation revolt against her forebears. As their forebears revolted against the Four, I watched the Arpa Empire rise, where Aoi's blood had spilled, and when I sensed the awakening of Lathian and his cohorts, I spent years around the White Lake, beginning the process of waking the Vinder and waiting for the Vistik's next birth. So he does have kind of a divine role, and he has been around for a really, really long time.
But he is apparently mortal. So it would seem.
Evidently. Yeah. He can be slain.
Yes.
I just feel bad for his dog.
I know. Well, we don't really know what...
We don't know what happened to his dog. His dog wasn't really
around. Yeah. Yeah. So he, after they have this conversation, they go and find Sixnit, Vistik, Zvala, and the horse.
The horse that Ogum had taken from Hessa
who had
earlier.
Taken it from Nissian.
So Nissian's horse.
Yes.
So funny.
And they find them, they free them from the ice, which is kind of a whole ordeal.
Yeah.
There's the Svala reunion, which was very heartfelt, and then also very like guarded as well. Mostly, I think because Hessa is so on odd terms with her upbringing.
Yeah, because at this point, her and Omaskat have come up with basically the plan of what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Like, they need to get Vistik to the lake to free the vendor, to keep Lathian from rising.
Yeah.
And so there's like a bunch of different factions at play. There's the Lathian faction, which includes the other old gods that have been harrying Hessa and the Ing people, like the Archer,
the Archeress, Stiga,
Shakalon.
except not a Shakalon because he's still in the tree. But yes,
Previously,
yes,
when they had fought him, he's part of the cohort.
Yes.
There's that faction. There's Omaskat and kind of Gad and the Algat, who are trying to break the vendor free.
To prevent, for the sake of preventing Lathian from breaking free.
Yeah. And then there's kind of, well, the other faction that has been kind of wrecked, which is Ing and formerly Olden, like kind of the people that were clinging on to the status quo of like how things were, with the old gods being chained up and them being in charge. And it's just interesting the way they're all playing against each other.
And Ogam's on who knows whose side. Ogam's on Ogam's side.
I think.
But he's also on Lathian's side. I don't know. He's a wild card.
He is on Lathian's side, but who knows if and when that would change, given the proper circumstances. Right. I think he's on anti-Ing's side.
Yes.
He just really hates his mom.
Yeah.
The man has mommy issues.
100%. Not
sure.
Unjustified. I think his mom is a bad
no, she's a piece
person.
Of work.
So.
And we do get to see them duke it out a couple times in this section.
We do.
When they're trying to free Sixnet and Svala and the horse. I forget his name. Starts with a C.
Castor.
No, that's a dude.
Oh, no, you're right. Caddick.
Caddick. Ogam tries to interfere with Hessa and Omaskat freeing his captives, and then Ing actually shows up to fight him and get him to go away. And that was the first time that we kind of see just her, not like her possessing someone. And when it's not
like in a dream,
an imitation. Yeah. And that was really exciting for Hessa, but also conflicting because she, like the old part of her, got really excited to see Ing like stalking in the wintry bluster with her axes and looking like a predator ready to pounce on Ogam. But then at the same time, she's like super conflicted about Ing, and it's just very complex. But it was cool. It was cool to see them kind of, or see Ing in the flesh actually doing something because she's been so absent.
Yeah.
Other than spoken words.
Yeah. Well, and despite she finally showed up when she should have, Hessa still tries to pledge herself to Svinder, like cuts her palm.
Yeah.
Because she's accustomed to gods requiring blood and sacrifice, and Omaskat tells her never again. She doesn't need to do that. She just needs to play her part.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very touching.
He even said, like, that's your blood, it belongs to you, nobody else.
Yeah.
Never have to do that again. No more creepy blood magic sacrifices. Yay! That already makes me like this Thevinder guy a little more.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, he does. He also does talk about how like the true deities have no beginning and have no end, and all this stuff, and how like you've been worshiping like pale imitations. So yeah, I thought the whole interaction with Omaskat was really interesting, leading up to the whole freeing of people.
Yeah.
But then we get that reunion, and now Hessa's super conflicted because she's kind of a turncoat. against her own people and against the Ingi. She's trying to hide this from Savala, but she gets kind of snarky with Savala, and she kind of gets to stand up for herself a little bit. She was like, yeah, Ing was dead.
Did you know?
That's why our village got burned to the ground, because Ing was dead. Where were you, Savala? Which we never really get an answer to that question. What'd she say?
She was out praying in the wood. This is what she said, which I think we won't ever know now because she is donezo.
She gets her head separated from her shoulders.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
But she claims that she had been out in the forest praying because she was really conflicted about what happened with Hessa and Hessa being kind of excommunicated. And so she was out in the wood pleading with Ing to give her a sign when the Algat showed up. And then she was being attacked in the wood and got so disoriented that she ended up somewhere totally not anywhere near Altmore in the end. And then she was confronted by Ogam.
Yeah, Ogam's been doing some behind the scenes stuff, not just with Hessa.
No.
Yeah.
Because he also gathered Six-Snit, obviously, because they're all put in the ice, right? So he put Zavala in the ice, and then he put Six-Snit and Vistik and the horse in the ice because he claimed that Vistik was his kid, and Six-Snit was like, I'm pretty sure it's not, but I don't know.
Because Ogam was like, I came in the dark of night, and
yeah,
I'm like,
ugh.
That's very Zeus of you.
Yeah, which he's... You know what? It's funny.
Nasty, nasty boy.
You know what's funny is early on you were like, Ogam's weird, but we like him. And now I'm like, Ogam's weird, and I do not like him. He's an interesting character, but he is kind of gross.
No, he is gross. I think, I mean, I don't remember exactly what I said. I would say I still stand by that. I like him as like a character. I enjoy reading the scenes he's in.
Yeah.
If he actually existed, I don't think I would like him as a person.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I like him as a fictional character. I enjoy reading Ogam scenes. Even when he's like going crazy and super mad at his mom and like summons an ice spear and tries to kill his mom. I mean, that's awesome. That's just it's just exciting.
It's a cool read. But he has impregnated Six-Snit, which is why he left a horse for her to get away on, because he's really into creating heirs or potentially immortal children.
Yeah.
So
mommy issues. And that's the whole reason why he never separated Six-Snit with Vistik, because even Hessa even says, was it sentimentality because of what Ing tried to do to him, that he wouldn't separate the baby from his mom? Like, yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was mom issues. He's got trauma, and he doesn't want other babies to go through that. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ogam is pretty complex.
He is. So yeah, the last section of this, or the last part of the section, was this very tense battle.
And really quick, Zavala also says that East Mead and another place where Hessa's family from are still around, and they got a warning in time about the Algat, and they actually managed to fend them off. So not all of the people that lived in Engen are gone. Right. So there is a chance that Hessa's family, at least some of them, might be alive.
So she's very hopeful, which is nice.
Yeah.
The poor girl deserves some hope at the end of this tragic tale.
Yeah. And then we jump to the fight with... Well, Gad shows up, steals Vistik.
Yes. And then Hessa promises Six-Snit that she will get him back because she was promised by Omaskat that he would be safe. Zvala rides off with Six-Knit. And promises to protect her. Not sure how well that went down, because. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Hessa does encounter the Arpa, which means she sees Astivius and Nician. And she, like, kind of forgets what she's supposed to be doing because she's so overwhelmed by needing to warn Nician about Telios, who's his old commander, who's super abusive and terrible.
Yeah.
That was really
Nician
tense.
definitely, he goes through a mental crisis the second he sees his old commander. Tenses up, goes nonverbal, hates the man.
Yeah.
Vehemently.
Yeah. That basically ends with him. She's been trying to tell him to, like, run away before they see him, and then they see Telios, and then at the end, Nician tells her to get away from him as quickly as she can. I'm like, aw, you guys. Did you notice that there's a little line in there where she, like, when she's hugging him, and she's like a sister, and I'm like, that's such BS.
I do remember that because I remember hearing that and thinking like, oh, please. You're going to tell me she wasn't fantasizing about Nician being her husband when they were sleeping next to each other? I mean, yeah, Eater was a person who existed who... See, that's the other thing. We only knew Eater, the readers only knew Eater, her husband, for like a chapter.
Right.
We've known Nician this whole book, and we know there's something there.
And, like, I'm not saying that she's ready to get back on, like, the dating scene or anything at all. I'm just saying the girl is, like, protesting so hard about there being something between her and Nician. Embraced him like a sister. You did not. You did not.
You embraced him like someone who really missed the other person and wanted to touch them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like someone you loved. That could be sisterly love, but
doesn't seem very platonic.
Anyhow.
I mean, people that are friends can hug, but I mean, this was different. This was like, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway. The ARPA are the worst. Quintus is there. He's a little turd. I hate him so much. Such a sleep. He reminds me of Frollo from Hunchback.
Oh, yes. But
that's who I think of every time he's in the pages.
I'm so worried.
I almost said on screen, but this is not a...
Yeah. But if it was, screen. Though, heck yes.
That'd be a good one. So a battle ensues between the Algat when they show up. So Gad snatches baby. The Algat run away. Hessa says, I'll get him back. Runs after them. Meets up with the ARPA. The ARPA and the Algat clash. Epic battle. Intense. Hessa makes it to Omaskat in the lake because he's just been chilling in there.
Oh, there's also other gods around. Like gods, quote unquote. Miri, actually. Yeah. So like Stiga's there, the Archeress. The other one who has a name. I just can't remember what his name is. But they're all there. And when she encounters Stiga, she's like, don't hurt me. I'm just trying to do my job. I'm going to kill Omaskat. And Stiga's like, okay, cool.
Well, quit giving me reasons to doubt you. You should shoot me. But we do get the cool moment. It was a very kind of Captain America moment where like she runs out into the lake and everyone thinks she's going to kill him. And then she turns around and assumes a defensive stance with her shield. I was like, that is so Captain America of you. That is like...
Yeah, for sure.
The most Steve Rogers thing. And then she muttered under her breath, I can do this all day.
But in fact, she cannot because Aang took over her body.
Yeah.
And made her turn on Omaskat.
That was sad.
That was sad.
It was very sad. The audiobook for this section was also very cool and very tense.
I
bet. The voice acting when the Archeress, I think it was, is like yelling at her, finish it, Ingi. And her voice sounded so bitter and like commanding and angry. Yeah. It was so creepy. It was so cool. So the voice acting has been really, really cool in the audiobook. Just a shout out.
Cool. For that. Yeah. And then Omaskat is dead.
Because
Bleeding out in the
body
lake.
And the last thing he says is, the wind. He says, Hessa, the wind.
Right. What does that mean? Well,
I don't know.
the wind is coming up because Lathian is there.
Or is it because the vendor's coming?
I don't know. I'm also torn about Estivius because he's
ARPA.
I know he's ARPA, but he doesn't seem to be... He's not a zealot like the other... He's extra. There's something extra about him.
And he's got amber blood.
Right. That's what I mean. There's something about him that I just can't like grasp my fingers around what it is about him.
Yeah. And Hessa even says, I forget what she says. I think she's telling him to like look after Nissian or something. And then she says, whatever you are. And he just looks at her and just smiles. And it's like, it's just such a, like, yeah, you know that she knows about you not being normal. So.
Yeah. And he knows the same about her. Like they know they're kind of in the same playing field, but I can't figure out like what team he's on. What team he's really on. Is he another
god?
I don't know.
In disguise? Or is he like Hessa, where he's a person that went to the high halls and like ate some honey? What is he?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe we'll see. We might find out.
We might. So after Hessa kills Omaskat, Ing shows up again. And then Ogam shows up, and he has Savala's head. Savala is no more. So...
Yeah, I have a feeling Sixnet is back in the ice.
Oh, you're probably right. She probably is.
Because she has Ogam's child.
Yes.
Or he let them go because she has his child, and he's like, go, yeah, my child.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? But, yeah, Savala's super dead.
And he taunts Hessa and is like, you're really important to my mother now because you're the only vestige left. Mm-hmm. And we do see that Aang is, like, more concerned about Hessa's well-being now.
Yeah, she's like, Hessa, get back. Stand back.
So gross.
You're my last life.
Yeah.
It's like a video game. You're my last life.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And so then Ogam and Aang fight. And Hessa's like watching the gathering forces on the lakeside. And she hears Aang cry out. And she turns and sees Ogam has killed his mother.
Spirit of the chest will do that.
Yeah.
To a person.
And she can only wonder how long it will take Aang to kill her, to get back out of the grave again.
Yeah, that doesn't bode well.
No.
That's a rough time.
Yeah.
And it's also, that whole thing was kind of sad though with Ogam versus Aang, because Aang was really resistant to fighting him. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, she did terrible things. She was a terrible mother, right? But she didn't want to fight her kid and kill her kid. Right. Ogam was the one that was pushing for that.
Yeah.
And he said, let's be rid of each other, and summoned a spear and attacked her. So she was, I feel like she was holding back, because every fight that we see Aang in, she gets wrecked. Like, have you noticed this? The only time when she is in a fight that we get to see that she actually does well is when she possesses Hessa to fight a Shakalon with Olden way back several sections ago. But other than that, it's like, I don't know, all these other gods or Miri are talking about how like, oh yeah, I killed her like 3 times last week. Like, I'm like, come on, you're supposed to be this imposing force. Like, why? I feel like she gets taken out so easy, but then is part of her strength just because of all the vestiges she had, she just keeps coming back.
Well, you know? So Ogam did talk about how she was stronger the more vestiges she had, because she had like spread out her blood, right? So she is weaker, but I wonder if a component of that is that she can't be as reckless now because she knows that she can't just respawn like she has before. And I wonder if by being less reckless and being more cautious, she has more vulnerabilities as well.
Yeah, because if she's being super reckless with her attacks, like leaving herself open for the other person to hit her too.
Mm-hmm.
Like before, that wouldn't have mattered because she can just come back. But
Right.
now
it matters.
it's like, ooh, not so much now.
Yeah. And if
But
she was reluctant
interesting.
to actually fight Ogam, she probably wasn't putting her full effort into it. And yeah, he got her.
He killed her real good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how does this chapter end, Joseph?
Well, knowing that Ing is going to try to crawl out of the grave and maybe take Hessa out in the process, she approaches Quintus, gag me, and says, do you think you can get rid of my Ingy fire? Because that's what he was trying to do before. And he thinks he found a way. He makes a little concoction for her to drink again.
And the chapter, you read ahead, but the chapter actually just ends with him saying, yes, I have a way to do it. So,
oh, you're right. It does end there. Yeah.
But, so no spoilers for me, please. I did not read ahead. I stopped.
Yeah. Well, we know before that when he was trying to do it, he was like drugging her.
Right.
So yeah, he has a concoction that he's made that he's going to make her drink. But
yeah. He doesn't know that she has like High Hall's stuff going on though. Does he?
I don't think so.
I don't think he would. I think if he knew that the Angie fire was like holding her back from her real potential, I don't think he would get rid of it.
No. I think he would be way more hesitant.
Yeah.
I don't think Lathian even knows about that either.
No. Why would he?
Yeah.
Oh, Nissian did have a fight with Telios. That was part of this section too.
Yeah, he didn't really win though. He got dragged out of the lake by the hair.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But he did get to hit him at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, intense section.
For sure. Lots of death, lots of blood. Always a lot of blood.
I predict in the next section, I don't know, because I've read ahead, but not that far. I predict that Hessa goes back to the High Halls and will actually have a confrontation with Ing in the High Halls. And we'll get to see Ing panic about Hessa's Ingy fire getting burned away as she realizes that no more respawns are happening.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. And then I'm hoping that Vinder erupts out of the lake.
Yeah.
And just steps on Lathian.
And Quintus.
Oh my gosh. And Stiga, because they creep me out.
Yeah. Yeah. Intense section though. Climax time. Mm-hmm. And it's going to get crazier probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one more section. So your assignment for next week is to finish the dang book.
Yep. Finish it. Awesome. And tune in for the next read along. Tune in next week for the next podcast.
Yeah. Whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. Yep. So, I guess until then, happy reading.
And we'll talk at you next time.
Later.
Bye.